Hello and welcome to my video, lesson 3.1 on translations. So let's start by just talking about transformations, which means that we're changing the graphs or transforming the functions from one to a slightly different function. It's not changing it completely, like let's say changing it from a reciprocal function to an absolute value function. Instead, it is just moving it or stretching it, or flipping it, or reflecting it in some way. So, translations are literally just moving left, right, up, or down. So the general form of a transformed function looks like this. We have y equals a, which is a constant. So all of these letters here, a, b, h, and k, are just constants that are doing the transformations themselves. So these are the transformations. Now, a and b are the reflection constants and the stretching constants. H and k are the translation constants. So those are the ones we're going to be looking at today. So we're going from some sort of original graph to a transformed graph. So we use the form f of x, so just like we wrote here, f of x, in order to show that it could be any function. So when we talk about f of x, we aren't specifying whether it's a reciprocal function, quadratic, cubic, whatever. We're just saying it's f of x, which is a very general way of saying it. So anything inside the square brackets replaces the x in the original equation. So if you look between, let's do it in purple here, between these two square brackets here, that would be our x change. But if you look at the k and the a, those are outside the square brackets, so they actually replace the y. And they actually replace the y like this. So if you think about opposite operators, to move it across, we'd have to subtract by k first, then divide by a in order to move it across the equal sign. And so if you can imagine, it's as if you replaced y by those values. Now, that's pretty helpful because it actually it helps us remember that we have to have the negative here and the negative here. When you flip it across the equal sign, so it looks like this general form, then you have the positive k. And we'll see why that matters in a little bit. So translations are done by the h and k values, which I already said. Since h is used when replacing x, it is the horizontal translation, so you'll notice that it's used with x. And since k is used with y, it is the vertical translation. Okay, so we start with some sort of parent function. I just listed a whole bunch here, but some of them you guys already know, as this is from Math 9 and 10C, right? This is focused on more in 20. This is focused in 20. This is in 20. And then these ones, I believe, are all in the 30 level. I like that. So we're going to be looking at all of these at some point, but the point here is not even that you necessarily need to know any of these yet. It's just that you need to know how to translate them. Okay, so we're going to show how to do that in a few different ways. Let's try some example questions, and then we can move on. So describe the translation. So just here, just describing the translations, what we need to do is we need to look at what is happening. What are we adding or subtracting? We're looking in kind of three different spots. And so we see there's nothing, this spot next to the y, there's nothing after outside of our brackets. So all that there is a x plus 4, which means that x has been replaced with x plus 4. So that means, since it should be x minus h, right? That means we're going to flip the sign, and that's the direction it's going to move. So it's like moving 4 to the left. Okay. Another way to think about this is that whatever value of x that you required before to get that value of y, you now require 4 less to get the same value of y as before. So anyways, 4 minus 4 instead, which is, so h equals minus 4, or we could say that there is a horizontal translation to the left by 4. You could even probably just do left by 4. That's probably simple enough. Okay, now let's take a look at the next one here. We have this x minus 4, so now it would be to the right. Let's actually label the h value and the k value. So h equals 4. And if we look over here, this tells us that k equals -1. So again, flip it if it's next to the letter. So that means we go to the right by 4 and down by 1. Okay, at this point I recommend pausing the video, trying the last question on your own, seeing if you can get it. All right, so at this point you should be able to have tried this out. So what we're going to do is notice that there's a -5, but it's outside the brackets, which means that it's our k value, and it's a k value of -5, so it's down by 5. All right, so we have to sketch the graph of y equals absolute value x minus 2, absolute value minus 3. So what is the original parent function? Well, let's just think about this for a moment. The parent function is y equals absolute value of x, which is just simply this function here in blue. So if we want to find the translated version of this, we just have to figure out how much it translates by. So doing the same thing as we just did, we can see that it goes down by 3 and to the right by 2. So down by 3 to the right by 2. So this is the bottom part. It's actually very close to the other graph on that spot, on that side. And it'll be a little bit further on this side. So again, we moved down by 3, right by 2. Okay, trying out the next one here. What we have to do again is recognize the parent function is y equals x squared. So I can't get exactly the right graph here, but I can do a couple quick calculations to get the first view. So 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, and then it's the same on both sides. So it's going to look something like this. And now what we have to do is translate it. So again, the y value, it means that we're going down, this is going to be up by 1. And the x value is telling us we go left by 2. So down by 1, left by 2. So this is our new bottom. And so 1, 2, 4. So it should just be here, here. It's going to look something like this. It's not perfect, but I think you guys get the point. The most important thing if you're drawing a quadratic and doing the translation thereon, the most important point is to make sure that you get this vertex point correct. As long as that's correct, the rest of it I'm not too worried about. All right, so here is a different type of question. Determine the equation of the translated function in the form y equals a f of b bracket x minus h bracket close bracket plus k, and state the domain and range. So we're starting with the original, blue. I always like to do blue and then red for the translated, but also always try to tell you. So anyways, the original is the blue, and we're going to the red. What are we doing to go from blue to red? Well, you can check any one of the points. It doesn't really matter which. And you don't really have to know what the function is. Like here, we don't actually know what the parent function is. All we know is that we call f of x. So to go from one to the other, let's just pick the top right corner of each. We go 1, 2, 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up. So 3 left, 6 up. So if we were to put that inside in our function, now we can go f of x, so in minus h, so that would be, if we're going left 3, so it would be plus 3, and then plus k, and it's going up, so it's plus 6. All right, and last but not least, today we're looking at mapping notation as well. So mapping notation, x comma y, that's how we always write down the Cartesian coordinates. And we're changing it to x plus h and y plus k. So pretty simple. We're just going to use these functions below in order to find the point as if it has been translated. So we start with 3 comma 6. Okay. So what are we going to do differently? Well, x plus h, right? It's going to be x plus 3. Sorry, what's the translation here? Sorry, I'm doing this. There you go. Plus h, so it would be plus 8, comma y plus 3 for this first one. The second one would be x minus 5, y minus 9. So now what we're going to do is plug in the values of x and y into both of these. So 3 plus 8, comma 6 plus 3. So I just used x from here and y from here. And over here I'm going to do the same thing. So 3 minus 5, 6 minus 9. And so we can obviously just calculate those and get our answers. So 11 comma 9 minus 2 comma minus 3. Negative 2 comma negative 3. All right. I hope this video helps you better understand translations, how to sketch them, how to interpret them, and how to get points based off of them. Good luck.